everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do our English spoken practice, and in this practice video I'm going to try a new pattern because I've already told you in my last video that I always try to change my way of practicing, and this is the most important thing, that if you are getting bored of like applying same trick in your spoken skill practice, then you need to change your way so that you don't feel like boring and you just take interest into everything like which is your part of English learning. So today in this video I'm going to share that maybe for the first or second time I wouldn't be able to speak properly, but at the end I would be the best as I can. So I'm going to share one story with you, and that is very short, almost 10 to 15 lines of story, but this is such a good story that you will feel that yes, it makes sense. So the first story and very easy concept, the story name is Everyone Has a Story of Life, and that is very common. We all of us has a story like of our life. So this is the story of 24-year-old boy 24-year-old boy seeing out of the train's window, and he surprisingly exclaimed, "Dad, look there, trees are going behind." Dad smiled, and the young couple sitting nearby looked at that boy with some pity. And that boy suddenly exclaimed again, "Dad, look, the clouds are running with us." That young couple couldn't resist themselves, and they said to the old man, "Why don't you take your son to the good doctor?" And the old man smiled and said, "I did, and we are just coming from the hospital. My son was blind from birth. He just got his eyes today." So the moral of the story is, every single person on this planet has a story. Don't judge people before you truly know them, because the truth might surprise you. So as you have seen that I tried, this was a very short story and there is a concept behind it. So I'm just going to tell you that this was the first time I tried to speak at once the whole story. But the most important problem is when I'm speaking this story, there is no expressions, and the way I'm speaking is not sounds like I'm speaking English. And so I thought that I will try to like kind of like things like when I'm speaking in English, there should be some expressions and there should be a way of speaking English, so that we can differentiate. As I am a Hindi, like my language is Hindi, but native language is Hindi, and I just want to like practice my English. So I 99% of the times speak English like the way I speak Hindi. And the most importantly, you will see the same rhythm when I'm speaking in Hindi. आज मैं ये स्टोरी ट्राई करने वाली हूँ, अब इसको सेम इंग्लिश में बोलने वाली हूँ. I'm going to try this story today, and मैंने same rhythm follow किया, and there is no expression in it. I'm trying to like, मैं जब बोल रही हूँ तो confidence नहीं है, एक तरीके का वो difference नहीं कर पा रही हूँ कि हिंदी और इंग्लिश में मैंने कुछ अंतर किया. The way I was speaking Hindi was like straightforward. I know that this looks funny that I'm trying this kind of practice, but yeah, this is because I have seen this kind of practice in my one of the favorite channel video that was also like a girl video, and I just find out that this is something a kind of good practice pattern, and I was searching for it and I found it. So I've already told you 99% of the time I'm not okay, but I will try 1% from my side to get better in it. Let's do it. So the most important thing is I'm going to repeat that story for at least 2 times, and I will try to change and like show some confidence while I'm speaking that. And because I gave my attempt in learning this short story, and I literally searched and found this story so that I can learn that and I can express the whole story without like looking at notebook and all. So let's get started. A 24-year-old boy seeing out of the train window, and shouted, "Dad, look, the trees are going behind." Dad smiled, and the young couple sitting nearby, that 24-year-old boy, looked at him with some pityness. And he again shouted, "Dad, look, the clouds are running with us." The dad smiled, and this time the young couple couldn't resist and said to the old man, "Why don't you take your son to a good doctor?" The old man smiled and said, "I did, and we are just coming from the hospital. My son was blind from birth. He just got his eyes today." So, the moral of the story is every single person on this planet has a story. Don't judge people before you truly know them, because the truth might surprise you. It was a nice story. I literally found out, and I really find that this is such a nice story, and I just loved the message behind it. Okay, so I try to speak well. I know that I'm not good at it, but now it's our third attempt, which I'm going to try. Let's get started. A 24-year-old boy seeing from the train's window and shouted, "Dad, look, the trees are going behind." Dad smiled, and a young couple sitting nearby, the 24-year-old boy, and looked at him like with some pityness. And again he shouted, "Dad, look, the clouds are running with us." Dad smiled, and this time young couple couldn't resist themselves and said to the old man, "Why don't you take your son to a good doctor?" The old man smiled and said, "I did, and we are just coming from the hospital. My son was blind from birth. Now today he's got his eyes." And the moral of the story is that we shouldn't judge anyone before we truly know them, because every single person on this planet has a story, and later you will be surprised after knowing the truth. So what I have done in this story right now, I try to say this story in my words. I've changed the statements, I changed the pattern of speaking. The story was the same, but the way I speak, I changed my English grammar patterns. I know that it is very different, but I try to say it in my own words. But I know this is not the same story. Okay, I'm going to try it again. 24-year-old boy sitting in the train and I'm gonna create 24-year-old boy seeing out of the train's window and shouted, "Dad, look, the trees are going behind." The dad smiled, and the young couple sitting nearby, the 24-year-old boy, looked at that boy with some pityness. And again he shouted, "Dad, look, the clouds are running with us." And the dad smiled, and the young couple couldn't resist this time and said to the old man, "Why don't you take your son to a good doctor?" And the old man smiled and said, "I did, and we are just coming from the hospital. My son was not able to see. He was blind from birth. Now today he just got his new eyes." And the moral of the story is every single person on this planet has a story. Don't judge people before you truly know them. The truth might surprise you. I've tried this story, but still I'm not feeling okayish, because the one thing which is missing from my way of speaking is that there is no expressions. Yes, and more importantly, I'm not able to speak my English in a different way. I don't know whether you are not understanding, I think. Okay, I'm just trying to give you an example, and I've already given you for last few videos. Okay, when I'm speaking, when I learn any kind of story, when I try to remember that story, I need to understand the way the story is created, and after that I don't have to copy that story. I have to encourage myself to speak that story in my own words. So because when we are doing any kind of conversation, the important thing is we are doing the real conversation. We are expressing ourselves in our way, in our style. So I got to find out that if you are trying to remember that story and trying to copy that means you are just mugging up all, and this is kind of cheating. So you need to understand how you can say that story and how you can tell that story So first of all, remember that story and try to copy that for the first, second, third time, and after that try to like express that story in your own style, because after all you're working to get more good at your speaking skills, and your style should be the same, because you know you have a different style and everyone has a different style. So yeah, so I don't know whether, one thing that I've noticed, I'm using this weather a lot. Now I will try to escape this because it makes me like different. Like I feel sometimes weird. Like why am I using it again and again? So in this video, this is just a single story which I've tried, and this was so easy. And in the next video, I'm going to try next story, and maybe I'll show you that it is not easy to learn first at the first attempt, and it is not easy to say it like without looking at the notebook, and you are just speaking out. You will fumble, you will stammer a lot, and you will forget your lines. And number third thing is, you have to remember, after doing practice at least for the twice, you will get to know about that you can express that story in your own styles, in your own words. So try to do that, because that is the most important step. And number four thing, try to speak your English in a different tone, because you have to differentiate your Hindi from English. So there should be a sound which is coming out of your words when you're expressing yourself. I know that I'm not good at it, but I will try to do that. With time, we will be good at it. Okay, bye bye. See you again in the next part of story.